right. One thing, Ricky, a lot of people, when Bobby Williams left, Ricky Williams came on. And a lot of people say, well, when is they in the kin, And it's such an amazing thing, Ricky, to be here talking to you. And knowing the history. People say, man, you got a lot of history, but I'm not the only one got a lot of history, Ricky. You got a lot of history too. Right. And this is what we're trying to do, Ricky, trying to bring out some of this black history to some of these young people.
Okay.
Give them hope.
Yeah.
People look at a lot of these videos mainly because everything I do is about positive things.
Right.
From the neighborhoods to what we're doing now, it's positive. And one thing that Rick taught me, you and Don Sam, is memories. People love memories. Right. We didn't get to be number one at KYK until Rick started having us with these oldest. And right then, Rick created such a good environment and a good paved such a way for me, you, and Don Sam, because I listen to Don sometime and I hear him doing the Battle of the Band. Where did that come from, Rick? I see KTSU on Friday doing this oldie thing. Where'd that come from? Rick. So Rick Roberts was a pioneer, man. And he did such a good thing for not only me and you and Don Sam, but for the rest of people that into radio. And they don't even know where a lot of things come from. And it's so sad to know that it's up to us, when I say us, the older guys who got the history, to bring this out. This young generation now, they might not want it, but the next generation, you can't rob them, give it to them.
Right.
Because they might want it. And and I say this to say this, Ricky, is that your history as far as raising up in 4th Ward, man, and coming out of 4th Ward, and then how did you wind up getting into the entertainment business at such a young age and getting on stage?
Well, my brother-in-law, Will Jasper Edward Estes, we call him Dut. I used to walk around the house and sing. I could sing songs, I could hear a song one time and go back and sing it line for line. So one day he told me, he said, man, you need to be in show business. I said, what you mean, brother-in-law? He said, man, I'm gonna take you to this club down there on McGowan. It's called the Desert Room. It was right there on McGowan where 288 run through now.
Okay.
It was a club called the Desert Room.
Okay.
Well, there was a guy there named Elliot Wilson that played the piano. They just had one piano in there. So they would take me there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I would sing with him.
Okay. Were you like a backup singer?
No, I was like the lead singer.
Wow.
Yeah, he played.
How old were you then?
9 years old.
Wow.
I was 9 years old. When I started singing in the nightclubs, I was 9 years old, and it was taboo. You ain't just a 9-year-old couldn't be in no club then.
Right. Right. You had to be 21 years old. You couldn't even go in the club at 18.
Right.
You had to be 21.
Right. But some way it worked out.
Right.
I sung at the Desert Room and the Club 500 and
the Club 500. That's on Darling.
The Showboat.
Wow.
I sung at all them little bitty places, and finally, Elliot told me one day, he said, you got good now. He said, I'm gonna send you out to see this guy Ray Barnett.
Right.
Well, the Cinder Club was just opening.
Okay, that's the Cinder on Dixie Drive.
3249 Dixie Drive.
Wow.
I went there to interview as a vocalist, and the guy said, well, no, you can watch it. I said, no, I don't want to watch dishes. I want to sing. So I ended up opening up the Cinder Club with Conrad Johnson and the Blue Stars.
Wow.
Joanne Tobin.
Wait a minute. Conrad Johnson, is that his son? Or?
No, that was Prop. Conrad Johnson.
Conrad Johnson, who wound up being over the Cashmere Stage Band?
Yes, he had a band that played at the Cinder Club. And in that
Listen
band...
Listen to that, Houston. Listen, stop right there, Ricky, because I got so many people from Cashmere. And they didn't even understand that Prop really came from Booker T. Washington.
That's
and
right.
I didn't even know that Prop had a little band that played in these little nightclubs like Ray Barnett, the Cinder Club.
We played there for years.
You sung with Prop.
I sung with Prop.
We call him Prop, but his name for y'all is
It's Conrad Johnson. Yep.
And that's the senior.
On that show, that was a big old, tall, nice-looking young lady named Carolyn Blanchard from San Antonio. Joanne Tobin. John Roberts was in that band also.
John Roberts, that's the boy that come from Jack Yates in the class of 1958. And he wound up bringing his own band, John Roberts and the Hurricane?
John Roberts and the Hurricane sung with them too.
Before he got to get his own group.
Right. They used to have this thing called the Big Blast every Thursday night. Artist C-Boy Vaughn put that on.
Artist C-Boy Vaughn, wait a minute. Artist C-Boy Vaughn, listen to some of these people from Phyllis Wheatley. You know, and what was so good about that, Ricky, they gave an award for C-Boy Vaughn for the Wall of Fame, and they let me, out of 3rd Ward, and Jack Yates go and accept that award for C-Boy Vaughn, and the people at Wheatley said that I was the new C-Boy Vaughn, even though I come from Jack Yates, but I am the new C-Boy Vaughn.
All right.
You know, and and now finish telling us about this, man. This is history, man.
Well,
this is history I didn't know about, Facebook family.
Well, after I sung with them for a long time. See, live entertainment then.
What was C-Boy doing? Was he booking these shows?
No. C-Boy worked for the Forward Times.
Okay.
And a lot of these shows.
So the Forward Time has been, at that time, Julius Carter was still living.
Mr. Carter was still living, because him and Miss Carter used to come see me sing at the Cinder Club, along with Dr. John P. Colburn and so many more.
So Dog Carter, which was Julius' wife, they would come to see you along with Dr. Colburn and some other people. How did you ever run into Don Roby?
I went and auditioned for Don Roby one time at his studios over there on Erasmus.
Over there for Liberty Road.
And he told me I was too young.
Now, he didn't want to go in that lawsuit. Okay.
Right. He told me I was too young. I couldn't sign a contract with him because I was too young. And as I was leaving, I bumped into Bobby Blue Bland, Al Braggs, Joe Hinton. So I was on the show with all these people.
Okay, but now, when these guys like Joe Hinton and Al TNT Braggs and Bobby Bland, would you open the show up, or did you ever have to get on the stage?
Well, Ray booked Joe Hinton one time at the Cinder Club.
Okay.
He was the main act.
But Ray took a chance on you, well, Roby didn't.
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
Roby was a big man. Roby had a record company that way before Berry Gordy got started in this business.
Yeah.
So he was one of the first blacks to really have his own recording studio, and he was so big in gospel.
He's real big, real huge in gospel.
And that Peacock label, you know, so, you know.
And
now,
the Backbeat label,
and
you
the
know.
Black Beat label, and the Duke label.
Yep. As a matter of fact, Roy Head had his biggest hit on Backstreet.
Right, on Treat It Right.
Treat It Right, that's right.
Right, because that was one of the first one that Roy Head that went R&B that turned over into pop.
Right.
Now, let us go back here and see how that Conrad Johnson and your band and all of this come up. And was Ray putting you into opening up different shows, like when Gene Chandler and these kind of people come through, Major Lance?
When Gene Chandler, Major Lance, and all those guys came through, all of them played the Cinder Club here in Houston, Texas. Right, these are people who
Ray used to book at the Cinder Club.
Right. As a matter of fact, Marshall Thompson, which was the founding member, one of the founding members of the Shylights, was playing with Major Lance one year. He told me, he said, I'll be back next year and I'm gonna have my group. And he brought back the Shylights.
Wow.
And I was able to be on the show with the Shylights and Gene Chandler and Major Lance.
And we talking about Marshall. Was Marshall singing with Major Lance when he didn't do the Monkey Time?
No, he was a drummer. He wasn't singing then. He was a drummer.
He was a drummer in Major Lance band.
And he played behind Gene Chandler.
And he played behind Gene Chandler as a drummer. Right, but he never did get into no vocalist until he went back to Chicago and got his own group.
Not until him and Eugene Record formed the Shylights. That's when that became to be.
And then, and what can you say about the Shylights? Have you seen The Old Girl, man, The Coldest Day of My Life? Man, they was one of the records that the pop charts wouldn't even have to worry about listening to. They just gonna play the show like.
Oh, they had a lot of hits. A lot of hits.
And never to know that most of those guys started right here in Houston, and you might as well say the Cinder Club was in Third Ward because it's over there on Dixie Drive.
Well, you know, Houston have always been a big market for a lot of the entertainers. I remember the first time I met Tyrone Davis.
Right.
Tyrone Davis had come here. He had Can I Change My Mind?
Right.
Well, remember the wrong record that they were promoting was A Woman Needs to Be Loved.
Right.
Bill Wildchild Williams flipped the record and played Can I Change My Mind.
Wow, and Bill Wildchild Williams, you know, because you knew a lot of these, you knew these disc jockeys, but you didn't know them because you worked in the entertainment business and
Right.
in the record business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bill Williams, if I'm not a Wildchild, did Boogaloo take the Wildchild place? Is that how that went down?
No, Wildchild always worked evening drive, 2 to 6.
Okay.
And when he left, along come Bobby O.J. And that was the first time I seen a disc jockey stand up and play music.
Well, see, Bobby O.J. came when I was at the radio station.
Right.
Right, I remember
You,
Rick
Bobby
Hottie.
O.J., Frank Hot Dog Hollison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, going back to this entertainment, because it's such a big thing, man,
Mm-hmm.
to know that a lot of these people, they start here in Houston. And one thing about this Houston market, Ricky, it wasn't no competitive market like the LA market and the Chicago market and the New York market.
No, it wasn't, but yet those
We had
guys.
the people here
Right.
to bring up the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a hit, you can get some numbers. Numbers mean people go out and buy records.
Right. Right.
And they buy records off of what they hear on the radio.
Right. Well, I was told that if you couldn't work nowhere else, you could come to Houston and work.
Right.
First time I met Ike Turner was at the Palladium Ballroom on a Sunday night.
And some of you, us old schools, we remember the Palladium Ballroom over there on Sophomore and Third Ward.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the shows that Ray Barnett only had one club at that particular time, and that was the Cinder Club.
Right.
Now, when he started opening up these other clubs like the Casino Royal and Latin World, was you going, being able to go out that way?
I was still singing in the clubs.
Ray still had you singing.
Still had me singing in the clubs.
So if you would sum up your career as far as singing, it would always go back to Ray Barnett.
Right. That's where it go back.
You know, and I look back at, you know, you knew a good friend of mine, Mr. Eddie Webb, and I see old girl come on now. She's still looking pretty good. Old Trudy Lynn.
Me and Trudy used to sing together in the band
Yeah.
with Julius Jones and the Rivieras.
I remember the Rivieras. They used to sing. And I remember, you know why I remember the Rivieras at a club called the Ebony Club.
Right. Right.
Over on Dowling and Rosewood.
That was a guy that used to be the lead singer. Name was Eddie Moe.
Now, was Calvin McMurphy, was he owning the Ebony Club at that time?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes, he did. Calvin McAdams.
Calvin McAdams.
Yes, he did.
Calvin McAdams. Yeah, okay. And that was the Ebony Club, and there was a lot of entertainers used to go to the Ebony Club.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that was in Third Ward. Now, when those entertainers would go on there and come to Houston, they would always stay at the Algiers Motel down there on Blodgett and Dowling.
Right. They sure did.
And that was a great big old. In fact, I remember seeing Ray Charles band there. I remember seeing B.B. King band, because they couldn't go stay at these white hotels.
No, they couldn't. Well, it was the Algiers or the Crystal White Hotel over on Lowndes Avenue, and Caldwell Taylor's was in the front.
Okay.
You had Rudy Brown's hair thing on the side there.
Okay, now when we go there and I break everything down, it's so good because we're breaking it down, because people say, you say Caldwell Taylor, that's Kirby John's daddy, if I'm not mistaken.
And you know what? I met most of the entertainers by hanging around at that tailor shop. The Al Greens, James Brown, Sam and Dave, you name it. Booker T. Caldwell made clothes for all those guys. The OJs, the Temptations. You know,
In fact, he had a contract with Motown that was making all their clothes, even Diana Ross and the Supreme.
He made all of their clothes.
And people, that's some history you need to know. And you know, and I say that because Mr. Caldwell is the father of Kirby John Caldwell. And you know, I just want to say that, man, because a lot of people don't recognize the history that the Caldwell family come out of. They know understand the history of his mother, Jean Caldwell, because she was a big teacher over at Phyllis Wheatley. She was Phyllis Wheatley, but they never hardly mentioned anything about his dad. What was his dad's name?
Booker T. Caldwell.
Booker T. Caldwell was the father. Was the father of Kirby John, and he was married to Jean Caldwell. Now, you said how was you? Now you done went from 3rd Ward to 5th Ward, and you coming out of 4th Ward. You were moving around, Ricky.
Well,
you wasn't. How old were you then? About?
I was maybe 10, 13, 14 years old.
So
my oldest brother.
You wasn't even a teenager at that time.
Not yet. My oldest brother. My daddy bought my oldest brother a Cushman scooter, a red Cushman scooter. My oldest brother used to take me everywhere. We used to go to the Coliseum to see wrestling, James Brown,
Bosch, right?
And all the KIOT spectacular shows and all of that.
Okay.
I remember when ZZ Top first started.
Wow, man, this is some real history, man.
I remember when B.J. Thomas cut "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry" out there in Pasadena. I was in the studio the night he cut it. Well, the morning he cut it, because we had just left the Dome Shadows nightclub.
And a lot of people, boy, you bringing back some memories. Boy, y'all don't know, this is memories here.
Yeah.
Dome Shadow nightclub over there on South Main. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, it was off of South Main, Merworth.
Off of South Main. Right.
I used to sing there with the Jokers band.
And that was right down the street from Playland Park.
Yep, sure was. And on the other corner was Guido's with the big crab on top.
With the big crab.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's some history, man. That's some knowledge. That's some memories, man.
Yeah.
And that's what we all about here, Ricky. Is memories, man. And we sit there and see all of the entertainment, and then you see it how you had wind up coming out of being on stage and working behind the microphone as playing music. You talk about going in the studio. Did you record any time, Ricky?
I recorded one church song with Robert Willis and Good Hope Choir.
Now, the Good Hope, was it out in 4th Ward?
It was out in 4th Ward on Solonier.
Okay.
And I remember one Sunday I sung a song by Eugene Williams and the Interdenominational Mass Choir.
Okay, now the Good Hope.
And Congresswoman Barbara Jordan told me, she said, "Young man, you really sung that song." Barbara Jordan and I attended Good Hope back in the day when they were on Solonier.
And now that's before they moved over there off McGregor.
That's right.
Okay. Now Barbara Jordan, in fact, when they had her funeral here, that's where they had her body there, and they had a funeral there at Good Hope.
That's right.
In fact, President Clinton came down to speak at her funeral.
Now watch this. Her sister, Rosemary McGowan, was my music teacher at Gregory Elementary School.
That's Barbara Jordan's sister? Wow, man.
Barbara Jordan and my daddy went to school together.
They went to Wheatley together?
Yes.
Yeah, because Barbara came out of Wheatley in 54. Right, okay. Wow, man, that is real history, man.
And I'm always amazed at myself how I can remember all this stuff.
Because God got it that we are chosen to be able to bring out these memories to people.